On Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs begin to take hold.
You're either in or you're out. Right now.
I want to gamble.
I never want to hear those words out of your mouth again.
Gambling is not your problem.
Has anybody ever told you before you're bad luck?
Most gamblers, when they go to gamble, they go to win.
Those were my mother's dying words.
When we go to gamble, we go to lose. Show me the money.
Let's get out of here, man.
Show you the money.
Honestly, let's just go. Let's go to Vegas.
Jerry, I want you to say what you would mean it, brother. Show me the money!
It's the sport.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 10 and another episode of Beers and Bets here. But I think we have to bring up something first. You know, all three of us, four of us when JC's here, we put a lot of time trying to get you guys good advice, win you guys some money, talk about football. Shoot or shoot, and sometimes you miss. Sometimes you miss once. Sometimes you miss twice. Sometimes you miss 5 times in 1 week. And that happened to be exactly what I did last week, putting up a big old goose egg. Luckily, before last week, I had been doing really well, so I'm still right in the thick of things in everyone's in the season so far. We had Derek leading the way by about a game between Marcus and I. So my comfort lead in this is gone, but there's only one thing you can do, and that's get right back on that horse, which is what we're going to do this week. We're going to get the take the blinders down and get right into this week. Derek, Marcus, how are you?
Doing fantastic. You know, it's becoming the holiday season where everyone does what gets them into the holiday spirit. And for right or wrong, for me, it's hammering beers and hammering bets on a Sunday morning. There's nothing that makes me happier.
Just gets the juices flowing, you know?
It sure does.
And this first game, I'm not sure if it gets my juices going. Cleveland going to New England. I'm not sure if it's snowing here where I'm at in Indianapolis. It is currently coming down, already another inch or two. So bad weather or not, Marcus, how do you see this AFC matchup going?
It's going to be ugly. This should be the ugliest game. It's looking like and feeling like these defenses are going to feel extraordinary, but lack of offense. I'm really just going to lean on the Patriots here, specifically because both running backs are out Cleveland. That was really my swing factor. But fear not, New England's starting running backs hurt too, just like most of this season. Low-scoring game, ugly in all aspects. I will actually be putting $0 on this game, but I hate to say it, I have to root for the Patriots because, well, they're playing the Browns, and at this point, I'll take the Patriots win.
Yeah, so every time I think Cleveland is going to lose, they win. That's poor rationale, but that's the best I could do when it comes to this game. I also think this is going to be a really ugly game. I think both punters get a workout, but we are split right down the middle here, 2-2. We said the field goal thing was only going to be 1 week, but I couldn't pick a single Browns player that I could rely on. Not a tight end, not a wide receiver, not a running back. So my props for this game, I'm going back to the kicker. It didn't hit last week, but, I'm giving it one more run. So I'm taking Chase McLaughlin over 1.5 field goals at plus money. And then kind of similar, I don't know who's going to score in New England, but if you have that question, always go Hunter Henry. And for some reason, he's back at plus 225. He had scored a touchdown in 5 straight games already this season. So if you can get almost 3.5 to 1 with Hunter Henry, I think that's something you got to do when he seems to be a touchdown magnet. Now, nobody who knows New England better than Derek Black. How do you see this game going, Derek?
For me, I'm kind of with Marcus. I think the running backs being out in Cleveland, I think it's going to be a really run-heavy script. Defenses are going to be a big part of the story here. And I think Cleveland, they came out hot after the OBJ thing. I don't know if there's definitely some regression there. I don't think they're going to score over 40 again. And you look at Bill Belichick versus, I kind of lump Baker Mayfield in with rookie quarterbacks as far as his decision making. I think there's going to be some things that Bill shows him that's going to trip him up. I just like New England. It's going to be a close game, but field goal game for New England. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. We go from one game where we don't know who's going to do what to the next game where there's quite a bit of big names. We go to the other coast, Minnesota to L.A. L.A. Chargers being a 3-point favorite, over under at 53. We are all on the Chargers. Herbert, I don't want to say bounce back because there's probably not enough to say that, but he definitely needs to get going. Marcus, how do you see the Chargers covering 3 points here?
You see, this is actually similar to Cleveland, New England, in the sense that we don't know which team is going to do what. Both teams have flashed greatness and just flashed terribleness. Last week, I was high on Keenan Allen. He didn't score first, but 12 for 100 some odd yards. Great day, great performance. I'm going to be leaning on him again for first touchdown. It's bittersweet here because I do like Justin Jefferson as one of my first touchdown props, like I did last week. But they struggle against the run. Minnesota loves to run the ball. My only question is, where's Dalvin's head going to be at today? For right or wrong, whatever transpired, it's still going to be in his head, affecting the mental. And for that reason, I'm going to lean on the Chargers and fade the Vikings here.
Yeah, no, you hit on Dalvin. I think all three of us could run against that Chargers run defense. It is really poor. I like Dalvin over 91.5 yards. The Chargers are last in the NFL. And like I said, Dalvin, he certainly can eclipse us pretty easily given the opportunity. And despite having Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert has been almost in pass-heavy scripts almost every week. So that's why, and he's eclipsed his 37.5 pass attempts 7 out of 8 games this year. So I think it'll be Herbert throwing the ball a lot and Dalvin running it a lot. Any other players, Derek, in this game that you think could do some damage?
Definitely big on Dalvin as well. That over 91.5, I think he gets there. From a script standpoint, I like anybody in the Chargers offense. I really like Eckler out of the backfield. I like, obviously Keenan Allen's always a good one. Herbert himself, I like Herbert play today. I think there's going to be a lot of passing from an LA standpoint. On the Minnesota side of the ball, I mean, this could be a sneaky Hamler day. But hopefully you're only playing KJ Hamler in really deep formats.
Right. Speaking of Vikings wide receivers,
Osborne.
Yeah. Hamler's not playing. He's losing an ACL in Denver. Yep. Adam Thielen actually has at least one touchdown in the last 4 Vikings road games, and you can get Thielen at plus 140. And then Eckler has exceeded 115 rushing and receiving yards in the Chargers' last 4 home games. You can get that over under at 99.5. So he's eclipsed that by 16 yards in the last 4 games. So again, tons of players. If you want to stack this game, I don't think this would be a bad DFS stack game whatsoever. Because again, I think Jared Cook, despite Derek's thoughts, could also do some big things.
Find the end zone, baby.
He always could. That's
But speaking of the Broncos, let's move a little bit more east to Mile High in a game that I'm either going to be the smartest man in the room or the dumbest man in the room. I'm the only one rolling with Denver this week, hosting Philly. Denver giving 3 points, over under 44.5. Marcus, what are you seeing in Philadelphia that I'm obviously not?
Well, you are like the public here. I think you could be riding that high for the big upset win over Dallas, and maybe just don't like Philly. I was actually drinking with
I don't like Philly, like in general, like as a city.
I was drinking with a Broncos fan yesterday. We're having the debate that I have with a lot of you guys about how Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. For me, he is. There's still some growing to do. But who the hell is he throwing the ball to? Who's running the ball? How good is that defense? That team is so terrible. And to a lesser extent, like Lamar was trying to do earlier this season, he's willing this team to in contention. There's 4 teams in the NFC that are above 500 right now. So they have a legit shot. I love Jalen Hurts. That's a guy you want on your team. He's a guy I want on my team. If he moves to Pittsburgh, you will see me as happiest girl in the city. But Eagles go into Denver and take care of business.
Yeah, there we go. So I like Jalen Hurts as a running back. 46.5 yards is his rushing total. I like this to be eclipsed. He's averaging 54 yards a game, which is obviously about 8 yards higher than this over-under. And despite no Von Miller, we saw that Denver was able to create a pass rush on Dak last week. So I think Hurts gets out of the pocket and is running a little bit. Maybe not necessarily for his life, but I do think Hurts gets out there and scrambles a little bit. And here's my first underplay of the week. You'll hear more underplays here in a little bit. But I think Teddy Two Gloves is going to be kind of a game manager in this game. I think you can run against Philadelphia. So I think it's going to be a run heavy script and probably a chilly Denver. So I like Teddy going under his 245.5. And he's gone under that in half of the games he's started so far. So he's definitely prone to that under. Derek, any other players or storylines in this game?
For me, no. I think it's all about Hurts. Really, Hurts is the only guy I really like in this game. And obviously that's because of the running yards converting better. Outside of that, it's just you don't know which guy is going to get the targets, and it's kind of two wide receiver cores are pretty similar to each other. Not a lot of big names. It'll be interesting if Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts can keep up what they have last week. It was definitely the best week they've looked together, and maybe that's a recipe for success there that they try to duplicate. You take a guy that early, you hope so. And Brandon, you asked me a question earlier. I actually did take Jalen for one of my touchdowns today, but a surprise, maybe not a surprise pick for someone who is an anytime touchdown for you or juiced up parlay there. Jerry Jeudy today. Yes, I think there's very solid value for Jerry Jeudy to find the end zone and also be in the double digit targets today. Yeah, we don't really talk regular fantasy formats, but I did you told me about the weather in Green Bay. I just moved Lockett out and Jeudy in to my lineup. So I do like Jeudy as well now that the weather is looking bad up in Green Bay. But let's go to Vegas where the weather is almost never bad. All of us are taking Vegas. I've told you guys, I'm done with Kansas City. I'm done. I'm unfortunately tied to the Chiefs in fantasy, but as gambling wise, I'm done betting on them. I don't really care what this number would have been. I would have probably taken Vegas. Marcus, tell me why that's actually a smart move. If there's anything that made me happy and made me laugh really hard this week, it was to you finally sticking to your guns. We had the conversation last week about do not take the Chiefs. Yes. With the points, take Green Bay. It's as stubborn as you are, man. I'm pumped that you're finally going to learn that lesson. Losing money hurts, Marcus. You go 0-5, and the bank account's going in the wrong direction, which is good for nobody except DraftKings. Kansas City's really not all that good. They're gonna splash. They're gonna do some things. Raiders coming off a tough loss, definitely handed that game away. But it's a big bounce back week. No one's been arrested this week. No one's getting cut. So that's a strong start. Derek Carr, nice bounce back day. My biggest dilemma today is whether to start him against Kansas City or Dak against Atlanta. But I still have to lean Dak. But I am taking Derek Carr for over 2.5 touchdowns today. Yeah, so again, it wouldn't be Brandon weekly player props without an interception prop. And I've coined Patrick Mahomes a turnover machine. He has an interception in 7 out of 8 games, and you can get that at a -110. I think that is an absolute slam dunk. And then Marcus and I were talking in pre-recording that we both love Waller today. He had 11 targets last week, and Kansas City gives up the 3rd most yards to tight ends. I like Waller over 75.5 yards. And Marcus, you like him for a touchdown, right? I love him for first touchdown. I was torn on him or Hunter last week. Obviously, Hunter Renfrow, Giants scored first, but can't really say enough about Hunter Renfrow, the physical specimen he is. But remember, Darren Waller was coming off some injury, missed some time. I think last week getting those targets and being productive. It will translate and roll this week and going forward. So thus far, I have been right about his regression, but I think as this season goes on, I could be a little bit more wrong about him. I think fantasy owners will be a lot happier going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Derek, so what about Tyreek Hill? What about Kelsey? What about Josh Jacobs? Are any of those guys worth rostering in any DFS format? And then are there any other storylines in this game that you want to comment on?
DFS, I don't think you get enough value on them. Obviously, if you took him in annual fantasy, you got to play him before you took him, and any week could have a big 30-point week in that offense. But it's not looking like the Chiefs' offense of old. So
the juice isn't worth the squeeze with those guys, honestly.
No, I don't think there's a lot of value. I think there's a lot of other places you can look around the league for better value today. Especially with all the injuries, that always provides a lot of value from a DFS standpoint. The backup's going to be undervalued. Big Waller guy today, big Renfro guy today. I like everything on the LA side, and honestly, like home dogs, give it to me.
Do you think Deshaun Jackson over under 1.5 catches today?
It's got. I just don't see him getting incorporated. I think it's under.
I don't see. I agree. I agree.
He doesn't really fit that offense. It's not.
He doesn't.
It's not a deep over the top offense. I think he's mostly a decoy to give a little more space for the guys they actually want to throw the ball to.
Yep. Nope. I agree. Let's move to Monday night with the absolutely loaded LA Rams, even with the Robert Woods news, which is unfortunate for my Super Bowl pick, but luckily they went out and made a move at San Francisco, which I can't pat myself on the back too much after an 0-5 week, but I had San Francisco last in this division when we did our previews. So I'm going to say that the 49ers are what I thought they were, and apparently so do we, because we are all taking the Rams in this game. Marcus, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking you should slow your roll. I actually had them third, with the Seahawks finishing fourth. So you and I will be battling with that. But one thing that you and I both loved in this offseason, one of our fun, and I don't like season-long props, but this one was too juicy to not go after, and that was under 12.5 wins for the Niners this season. Chalk that one up. I like with chalk, but the Rams are fantastic. Obviously, a nice little slip up against the Titans. They have a nice another distraction coming into LA, a player I can't stand, a player I hate, and a player I'm taking to score tonight. OBJ is plus 170 anytime. I'm actually going to ride him at 11-1 in one of my touchdown round robins. It's just going to be a show. LA likes a show. He's going to score first. He's going to score, put on a good dance, hopefully catch a $12,000 fine for a fun celebration. Rams roll.
Yeah, Rams do roll, but I think they do it kind of the way they have been doing it. I think they ride Henderson, and I think they ride Kupp. I like Henderson's over, or I like Henderson's under, actually. He didn't hit the over last week, and his under is low. But again, I think this is going to be kind of a messy game. And then for some reason, Deebo Samuel just isn't really clicking with Jimmy G. I think that that's something that they need to get under, get that under control. So, are there, Derek, any storylines or players here that you like in this Monday night? I think a dud. I don't know how much I'll tune into this game.
I think I'm really torn on OBJ. I think either he gets ignored or they try to force feed and get him acclimated. From a gambling standpoint, I'll go with the force feed and acclimate. I think he's probably going to have a big day. Like you said, Deebo Samuel, for whatever reason, there's not a lot of chemistry there right now. Maybe Brandon Ayuk finally decides to play football this year. Who knows? But for me, I think it's really all about Stafford. I think it's about Cooper Kupp. I think it's about Henderson. I think, from a touchdown standpoint, he could score you a lot even without a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah. I think LA, this is my, hate to say this, is probably going to jinx it. This is my lock of the week. I couldn't believe it was only 4 points. I think you got a top 3 team in the NFL versus a bottom 10 team in the NFL. I think this is a pretty poor matchup.
That is one phrase I will not use for hopefully ever, but for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you've retired lock of the week. But the Monday nighter might be a dud, but we do have some other interesting games. Let's kind of breeze through these pretty quickly. New Orleans, Tennessee. Marcus, what do you think about this game?
Tennessee rolls. Let's just keep that one simple. Alvin Kamara is out. Julio Jones is out for the Titans, but he really hasn't done much. Some rest will be good for him. New Orleans is a mess. It should be a low-scoring game, but I actually love to score today, and I think he's roughly 11-1 to score twice. I just love AP. I can't get enough of him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned it. Kamara is the reason I'm taking Taysom Hill anytime touchdown. He's at plus 330, which is pretty money. But if there's any play in this, Marcus, you hit it. It's the under for sure. And then so next game, we got Atlanta Dallas, a number that I think is way too big. Derek, what do you think about this game?
I mean, I know Atlanta's been playing well lately, but Dallas is just such a better football team. I think Atlanta's going to score a lot, probably in the back half. You know, their traditional garbage time touchdowns. They might backdoor cover here, but I just think the Cowboys are going to be out in front the whole day.
Yeah, this is my backdoor cover. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
Atlanta is always good for the good backdoor cover.
That's my favorite. This game, I'm under here at 55 because it is a ton of points, but I'm hoping this is the highest scoring game of the week. Cordero Patterson, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, but most importantly, CeeDee Lamb, first touchdown. He's been fined 4 or 5 times this year for his outfits, which has been ridiculous. So hopefully he has another guy, just like OBJ, get into the end zone, pull up that shirt, take the fine, get the celebration, make me some money. Cowboys win.
I like Kyle Pitts there too. I think he's starting to come on, find a groove. They're finally just implementing him mostly as a wide receiver, which should have been the plan the whole time.
Just made a move in my other fantasy league, not in the one we're in, but I just made a move to go get Kyle Pitts. I love Kyle Pitts the rest of the year. Yep. It was always going to be obvious he was going to struggle in the first half. But with everything going on with Ridley and their constant pass happy scripts, if you have a chance to go get Pitts, go get Pitts.
Yep.
Let's move into a game where I'm surprised Marcus wore his jersey last week. CMC at Arizona. Can CMC do enough to keep this game close?
This game's so much less interesting now. If you guys haven't heard, no Kyler and no D Hop. It's not official yet, but it's highly likely that they miss the games. I don't really like anything about it, but CMC should have a monster day with PJ Walker and some Cam Newton sightings today, which means a lot of dump offs. Just don't even run the ball with him. Just throw him 18 screens today. We'll be happy. Zach Ertz could be primed, but I actually really love the Panthers +8 here. I can't rely on Colt McCoy to put on a show back-to-back weeks, but I'd lean under and Panthers +8.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I like New Orleans and Tennessee under. I like this game under, and then we'll get to kind of my last under parlay. CMC, you can still get at plus money for anytime touchdown. That's insane. I know he had to get back in the groove last week. He's finding the end zone this week. So if you can get one of a player of his caliber at plus money, you got to do it. Let's move over to Seattle Green Bay. Messy game here. Derek, what do you think about Seattle Green Bay?
So I think we'll go ahead and just get this out of the way. For me, this is my lock. I think Green Bay, weather should be shitty. Green Bay's built for that. Russ coming back off that injury, straight into that weather. And, Aaron Rodgers has went on his tour. He's made himself a victim. I think he's going to come out hot. And Devontae. The thing about the snow is you can still pass in the snow if you're acclimated to it. It really favors the wide receiver who obviously knows where they're going.
Yes.
And that chemistry is just incredible. I think the two of them are going to have a big day. And honestly, besides Russ, Seattle's fucking terrible. So
that's why I like that chemistry. Is the reason I like DK today.
If Alex Collins is out too. But actually, their whole running back, everyone's out. Derek, who should I take first touchdown here, man? I saw Devontae Adams is only at plus 475, but literally for the exact points that you just mentioned, I was like, fuck it, I'm still gonna ride Devontae because he finds
Devontae. It's Devontae. Maybe AJ Dillon is kind of a sneaky, probably. I don't know what the payout on him is, but I can imagine it's probably pretty good.
It's in the 10 to 13 range.
It's kind of a sneaky one that I kind of like, especially in this kind of a game. But I think those are really the only two picks, unless we think maybe Aaron's going to run it in himself.
That was the other thing I was weirdly thinking about.
He raises the ball, one hand in the air, does a little flick into the crowd. I absolutely can see it. Does the Hingle McCringleberry in the side of the end zone?
Yeah. Oh yeah, perfect.
So Ed, I normally have some underdogs of the week. I do think it's a favorite week this week, so I'm sticking away from an underdog parlay, but I'm going to keep the under part because I think this is a little bit of a messy week. So as like I mentioned, Saints, Titans, Bills, Jets. I think the Bills are in a little bit of a funk, and the Jets, I don't know, have found something. I think Buffalo wins, but I think that game's comfortably under. And then, as we mentioned, Carolina, Arizona, just shells of what both those teams were at the beginning of the year. That's going to pay out at plus 611. So that's 7-1 you can get on a 3-game under, which I think is pretty money. Speaking of money, Marcus's favorite part here, touchdown parlay. As I mentioned, semi-new segment here, just guys at each position I like to score. We talked about Hurts earlier. I like him to find the end zone. I like Josh Jacobs to get in his game. I love Michael Pittman. He's starting to become one of my crushes and somebody that I will absolutely make sure he is on my team next year in regular fantasy.
It's crazy. Were any of us like big on him and thought he was going to have a good year?
Humble. Derek
so
Black, always the.
I caught so much shit for that. Like, oh, he's terrible. He's like, I'm like, no, he's runs good routes and he's 6'5". Like, there's not, like, I mean, that's really Mike Evans' formula.
Yeah,
Give the man time.
for sure. And then the last guy I like, especially with check down Mason, I like Marcus's Penn State baby Gronk. I think Pat Freiermuth has certainly turned it on the last 3 weeks. He has certainly found the end zone. So Hurts, Jacobs, Pittman, and Freiermuth is a touchdown parlay that I'm running with. There's a ton of good running backs, though. Like I mentioned, you can get CMC, you can get Eckler, you can get Dalvin. It was really hard to pick. I went Josh Jacobs a little bit because I could get plus money there. But again, I really like those guys to find the end zone. To finish us off, Derek, any digs you like?
Yeah, so we did my Green Bay lock. The other one is a little combo out in New Orleans. I think AP finds the end zone. If they both score, though, we're looking at plus 1,000. Obviously, these are all they're reaches, they're long shots, but I just want to go out and find some ones that I think are kind of interesting and say, hey, if you want to throw $5 on it, maybe I'll make enough for dinner.
There we go. I drafted Troutman with high expectations, so I'm rooting for you there because
He's been kind of solid. Yeah, there's something there
for sure. Sweet, Marcus. Anything else?
Nope. Let's go Steelers.
Let's hope I win a game this week, right? Because this thing's got to go. All right, everyone, go get your beers and bets in. Have a great day of football, and we'll be here next week.